Hi everybody, my name is Jo and I love to read. Today I'm going to be doing what is an original tag. It is the I'm a Parent tag, book edition or reader edition. I feel like I have seen something surrounding being a mother on BookTube as a tag, but when I did a search for it I couldn't find it. I couldn't find anything similar, and then I thought, well, I'm going to make up my own questions, and also there are similar things anyway, similar tags around BookTube. I feel like this is probably going to be unique enough. If you guys have seen those other tags, let me know because I'd be interested in answering those questions. But for now, this is my tag that I've created, the first time ever making a tag. I'm so excited. Please feel free to do it yourself. If you don't have kids and you're interested, you could maybe do like your fur babies as your answers. That could be fun. But if not, do it. Let me know. I don't know, like, do you mention my channel in your description, or I don't know, whatever. Just drop me a link in this video to let me know that you've done it. I would love to see other people doing it as well. But now let's get into the questions. Question 1, how many kids do you have and how old? Feel free to share any other information you're comfortable with. I have one kid. His name is Miles. He is 5 months old. He's my first baby ever. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit here. He has blue eyes, blonde hair, and I don't know if he's going to keep the blonde hair because both me and my husband were blonde when we were kids and then went brown. Hopefully he keeps the blue eyes. Apparently blue eyes can disappear, there's a chance that they'll disappear anywhere up to a year, so we'll see. Daniel has brown eyes. He seems to really like the colour blue at the moment. It's nice being a mum, but it's very challenging, especially at the moment, because he is so alert and he wants to get out and see and experience new things, but his poor little body is not there yet. So he's squawking at me all the time. Well, not actually like talking to me. He just kind of screeches if I'm not answering his whims quick enough. But I reckon he's saying, "Mum, take me places, entertain me. I need help. I can't do it myself." Question 2, were you a reader before you had kids? Yes, I was. I've been reading for pretty much my entire life. My mum always encouraged us to read. She has all of the Enid Blytons that, like, I think it's Enid Blyton, The Magical Faraway Tree, and she's just a prolific, maybe Australian author, I'm not sure, but a prolific kids author. I never actually read a lot of the Enid Blytons, which is quite funny, which is what always makes me think I never want to push my books onto my kids because they'll learn to read and there'll be some new shiny amazing book that they'll want to. Maybe I'll read some more Enid Blytons when I'm a bit older. Who knows? I don't know. But yes, I was a reader before I had kids, very much so. And I'm so glad that I have time to read now after having my first kid because I was really worried about that. Question 3, if yes, how did your reading change after kids? If no, how/was it parenthood that sparked your reading? So for me, I'm answering yes, because I was a reader before I had kids. How did my reading change after kids? It's gotten a lot slower, and that definitely started when I became pregnant because I had a period of time around maybe like 9 weeks to 20 or 15 or something like that, where I was so tired, and I literally was waking up, going to work, or waking up, having a coffee, researching baby, going to work, coming home, having a nap on the couch, and then going to bed and sleeping. And that was really frustrating because I really had to accept that I couldn't read at the pace that I wanted to. Got a bit better around the 3rd trimester because I got energy back again. Crazy how that works, hey? After having Miles, I definitely, again, read slower. I do have opportunities to read more, which is really interesting actually because my mum had always told me that she used to read a lot until she had us and then she didn't have time. And I never understood why it took her so long to get through books because, and I get it now, because lack of time, there's more housework, there's more, you have to play with your kids and entertain them and keep them alive and feed them and everything like that. It takes up a lot more time than when you don't have kids. But it was interesting actually because I was talking to my mother-in-law about this when I was pregnant, and she said that she actually read more when she had kids because she would read while breastfeeding. And that ended up being mostly true for me, especially at the beginning. As I've said in previous videos, if you've seen them, I'm in a bit of a slump at the moment as I'm filming this. Hopefully when this video comes out, I am not in the slump anymore. That'd be lovely. I have had opportunities to read while breastfeeding, reading on an e-reader as opposed to physically, which is a big change for me. I never one day thought that I would read on an e-reader, but it's so much easier to hold an e-reader up when you have a baby here as well. I feel like there is opportunities for me to read, I just don't always take them, and we're also being blessed with a baby who likes to go to sleep pretty easily as soon as it gets dark at night, and we do all the appropriate things like make sure he's been up for a little bit, give him a bath, feed him, change him, put him to bed, he goes to sleep. So I have a lot of time, and he sleeps really well too, and at this stage he's only waking once or twice a night. Sometimes he wakes a bit more, you know, if he's having like a, you know, going through something, but often I get enough sleep as well. So I can stay up until about 9, 10. I have a lot of time to read again in the evenings. It's like, don't get me wrong, like being a parent is really stressful and is really draining, but there is time. It's just the usual thing for me is that I read slower, I can't read for hours on end, I do get bored of the activity even though I still love reading and the books. Unless I have a really, really good book that's really engaging, I'll read for hours, but often I just read a little bit a day. So I still have opportunity to read. It's just a bit slower at the moment because I do have less time to focus on my priorities, and I have a lot of priorities. So that was a long ass explanation. I hope that made sense to people. Question 4. What are your best tips on how to make more time to read as a parent? Priorities. I'm going to say it again. The priorities word. I say it all the time now because I don't like to make people feel bad about their time and the way that they choose to spend it. I don't like people that, for instance, don't have kids and have a lot more time. I've still chosen to have kids and to impact my time this way. So it's not like I can look at my older sister, for instance, who's not having kids and say, you know, life's easy for you because you have all the time in the world. You can't look at it that way. I chose to have this baby. She chose to not. My best tip is make it a priority if you want to read more. There are other things, like I know other people do use audiobooks, other people do ebooks so that they can read while waiting for appointments on their phone if you don't want to carry a book with you. That's all great. I'm not super down on the audiobooks at the moment, so I don't necessarily think that's a tip for me, but the other tip is just make it a priority. And I also find it really funny that people say you'll never have a hot meal again as a parent in the first few years, or you'll never have a hot cup of tea again, and that's often directed at mothers or the primary caregiver, but generally in society it's directed at mothers. And I think it's because either your baby doesn't nap, or when your baby naps you go and do housework first and then maybe have a cup of tea at the end, but you don't get the timing right and your baby wakes up. So I make sure that if I really need a cup of tea that day and I get my baby down to nap, like I've done with this recording here, I've made it a priority, as soon as he's down, I go do that. I either make that cup of tea and I drink it hot and I can savor it, or it was a cup of coffee today. Otherwise I'd be napping right now instead of filming, and I really wanted to film. Or I go and film, or I pick up a book straight away. Don't do the chores first. Or if you're going to, set a timer for the chores, and then after you've done 10 minutes of that and you know that your baby's going to nap for at least another 20-30 minutes, then go read and do it that way. Make it a priority. And also, another thing that I'm probably going to add as well is you can find ways, like for instance, if your baby doesn't like napping, go for a drive, take a book with you, get it to sleep that way, and then stop somewhere, read the book while you're both in the car together. Make sure you have ample airflow, obviously, as well. Hot day, you know, don't want to boil your baby. But you can find ways, you just have to make it a priority. I know it's very frustrating for people to say don't do the housework, because obviously you need to do dishes and you need to do washing to keep things ticking over. So get those bare minimum things done, or read for 10 and then do the bare minimum, or do the bare minimum for 10 and then read. Like, there are ways. You've just got to watch your time a little bit, but you can do it. Make it a priority. You are worth it if you enjoy reading or whatever hobby. You want to be happy. You don't want to be cringing every time the baby wakes up. You want to feel like you've had enough time for yourself so that you're excited to play with the baby when they wake up. Question 5. Do your kids enjoy reading? What are their favourite books? I have a 5-month-old. Can't really enjoy reading at the moment. Probably his favourite book at the moment, it's out in the land room. I don't know what it's called. I can probably put a picture in if I wanted to. But it's like it's a very basic picture book. It's got foil on it. So each page has like shiny stuff, which is as best as you can really hope for from a 5-month-old. So maybe I'll do this tag in 5 years and I'll update you guys then. Question 6, what was a childhood favourite of yours? Now, it's hard for me to think about this because I was reading as a kid, but I don't know what I read as a kid that was probably the only one that really comes to my mind. And I wasn't a younger kid, I was more primary school age, early, like pre-teens, and that is Dark Horses by Heather Cato. We borrowed it from the library. I don't own a copy. I would like to own a copy, but my sister borrowed it from the library and then I read it after her, and it was always really interesting to me. It was like set in New Zealand, I think, and it had a bit of mystery and an element of the main character moving away from where she lived to live somewhere else, I think with her family or something. So anyways, I just remember that being a really interesting book. The only other thing I remember reading a lot, I have memories of Harry Potter, of course. We went on a trip around Australia in 2005 when I was in year 5, and I would have been 10, I think. I was 10 then, and I made it my mission. So my mum was reading a book series on that journey. She was reading, actually, I think it was the Earth's Children series, so Clan of the Cave Bear by Gina Marul. I made it my mission to find a copy of the Harry Potter book in secondhand bookstores as I got up to it, and that was really fun. It probably like birthed a bit of a love of thrifting, op shopping as we call them in Australia, like the opportunity shop. You never know what opportunities you're going to find there. We call them op shops in Australia, and we would find one in a secondhand bookstore, and obviously Harry Potter was popular enough that we would generally almost guarantee that we would find a copy in a secondhand bookstore. We had to buy the third one brand new, I remember, because I was up to it and we couldn't find it. I think we were in like a big town or something, I don't know. Anyway, those are my early childhood favourites that I can remember. Question 7, recommend a children's book including brief description and age range. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to recommend 2. So the first one is for horse girls. It is the Pony Mad Princess, or I think it's changed to the Pony Crazy Princess series, about a princess called Ellie, my childhood best friend. Her name is Ellie, so she bought me this series because bought me the first book or something in it because she thought that was kind of funny. They're really cool. They've got illustrations, easy to read. They're chapter books, so probably around, I don't know, maybe ages 8 to 13. Maybe that'd be for. And the other one I do want to recommend is the it's by Tamora Pierce, Song of the Lioness series. I think it's a great starting fantasy for probably like preteens, and then they can read it as they start aging up, maybe up to like 15, 16, but I also read it as a early 20s person, so it's still enjoyable, but they're really short. So I think that they could appeal to a lot of people, and they are good for getting into fantasy too. Question 8, share a bookish memory you have as a kid. So mine is that my primary school made me, and I think this is like maybe middle school for Americans, I'm not really sure. But my primary school would make you, or as part of the curriculum, is that you're supposed to read 15 minutes a night with a parent. And my memory of this is that you could print off these templates of the little reading slip that your mum would sign to say what you read, and that you had them for how long, and they would just sign it off as a parent. And my mum, I remember, so we didn't have a lot of money as kids, and my mum was also very good at being budget savvy. So instead of wasting ink to print these new templates when we run out, or wasting brand new paper, she would just get scrap paper and cut up her own and handwrite her own. And I remember in year 5, so again when I was about 10, my teacher actually congratulated her, I think, a little bit to me and the class on having these recycled homemade reading slips that still serve the purpose, that and I still had done it, but she had found a way to do it more environmentally friendly and budget friendly as well, as I realise now when I get older. And question 9 is just tag other parents to complete lists. Now I'm going to tag, so anyone who wants to do it, I'm tagging you, but in particular the people who I know or think are parents. The first one I'm going to tag is Moose from the channel Aramoose. I'll leave a link to her down below, and I think also David Wiley is a parent, I'm guessing, just based on comments that we've had back and forth. Sorry if I'm wrong, but you do the tag as well if you would like to, and anybody else do it as well. If you think that you can change the questions to you as an animal parent, go for it. I'd be so keen. Maybe I'll do this again as the animal edition, focused on my little coops, who I'm sure everybody misses seeing in videos. But I better go now because my human baby is wanting me to get him up now. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the tag. I will leave the questions down below so you can copy paste easily onto your video and to read them easily as well to answer your video questions. Let me know if you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!